after Hillary Clinton allegedly rigged the primaries against Bernie Sanders due to leaked emails showing the DNC working against Bernie rather than treating him as a viable candidate, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether the election in November will be rigged as well, or if that's just conspiracy nonsense. A Twitter account called Ashby Law recently went on a popular rant explaining how we've designed a system that cannot possibly be rigged, especially in a national election where everything is done in public places to be monitored. But others speculate about the global elite and their constant collusion with each other to get their candidate in, as well as all the past voter fraud that has been exposed by groups like Project Veritas. Between the people who think this election is 100% rigged from the very beginning and those who believe voter fraud is insignificant and rare and everything will go smoothly, the evidence leaves us somewhere in the middle. And with a lot of crazies on both sides of the issue to debunk, there's some fact-checking due. So let's take a look at some of the largest issues people link to rigged elections. To begin, voter fraud. Firstly, I'd like to start with one of the most important claims about voter fraud, that it is insignificant and rarely happens. This is not true. Pew Research has found that 1 in 8 registered voters have put down information that is significantly inaccurate and no longer valid. According to the same research, there are some 18 million potential fraudulent voter registrations in the United States, and about 2 million registered voters are people who have died. Now, in a country of 318 million, that's not massive, but it's certainly still significant, especially when last election only 118 million people cast their votes. And if most of the fraudulent votes go in one direction, it could certainly have an impact. Rudy Giuliani speculated recently that most of these votes would go Democrat. His exact quote being, "I'm sorry, dead people generally vote for Democrats rather than Republicans. You want me to say that I think the election in Philadelphia and Chicago is going to be fair? I would have to be a moron to say that." Well, yes, it has been proven that dead people do vote, but no, we cannot identify who they have voted for. Either way, if they're voting Democrat or Republican, a dead man's fake vote cancels out a living person's legitimate vote, and just one fake ballot is an attack on democracy and should be taken very seriously. Now let's move on to big corporations and business. Something I've been hearing over and over again is that big business is rigging the election. Now, there are the people who go on about George Soros buying the company that runs election machines in a few major states, but as much as I don't like the guy, there isn't really enough evidence to show he's going to do anything with that. Yes, Soros is 100% a shill for Clinton, like Goldman Sachs is, as well as major media sites like Twitter and Facebook. It's messed up. But as much of a gap as there is between Hillary's list of corporate elites and Trump's, Trump still isn't doing this alone. He's got Peter Thiel, Woody Johnson, Carl Icahn, Tom Barrack, Sheldon Adelson, and a few more. Both Hillary and Trump are running with big money, but it is undeniable that Clinton is running one of the largest business campaigns we've ever seen. And as Bloomberg reported the other day, she has spent and raised double what Trump has. It's insane. Does that mean things are rigged in her favor? Well, you'd have to be the judge. It would be tough to argue she isn't given an edge by big business, though, especially considering the fact that 91% of the time the better financed candidate wins. Now, are the media rigging the election? It's not a far stretch to say they're trying. The only problem I have with this statement is it's a little too inclusive. Not all of the media are trying to push the election a certain way, but there are certainly people within the mainstream media that are. For example, leaked emails have now proven that DNC chair Donna Brazile did in fact leak town hall questions to the Clinton campaign. This isn't a conspiracy, it is simply fact. Feel free to watch the Reality Check episode on it. Politico's Kenneth Vogel also sent a copy of his story to the DNC before he even went and sent it to his editors. WikiLeaks also released an email from Clinton's national press secretary, Brian Fallon, talking about how he was going to coordinate a story about Hillary's excellent health and pitch it to the Associated Press, Politico, the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, etc. If you go through the emails yourself, there are countless questionable moments between HRC and the mainstream media that leads me to believe that Trump and his supporters' criticism of them is kind of justified. So we've gone over some of the main claims of voter fraud, big business, and media, and I may personally believe that voter fraud helps Clinton more than Trump, but you'll have to make up your own mind on that because the data is not conclusive or absolute. As for media and big business, there is far more objective evidence pointing towards a Hillary advantage. It would be hard to deny she isn't receiving more of their help. And some people would suggest that's maybe because Trump is rigging the election against himself with some of his comments. But when I hear Trump say the election is rigged, as he has many times before, I don't think he's just talking about against himself or about voter fraud, business, or media, though. I think he's just saying the whole damn show is rigged. Who went to jail for the crash in 2008? No one. Who went to jail when the IRS was abusing Christian groups and conservative groups? Nobody. Who went to jail for Hillary's email scandal? No one. The fact that Petraeus was busted for showing some emails to his girlfriend that some guy took some pictures of a submarine and is locked away for 6 years in prison, but Hillary isn't, makes it kind of hard to say that things aren't rigged against and in favor of certain people within the American system. The corruption in the system for the FBI, the Department of State, the Department of Justice to just let her go is an enormous part of what people are talking about when they say things are rigged. Now, does that mean the entire election itself is rigged? Well, you'll have to decide. Either way, I think that no matter who you are voting for, we can all agree our elections and laws need to be based on something more meaningful than who can raise the most money, who has the most power and connections, and who can run the largest media indoctrination campaign. If you enjoyed that video, make sure to subscribe to the Rebel Media for more and to hit that like button.